Hi everyone, welcome to Fibromyalgia Talks. I am your host, Necie Edwards, and in the studio today, I have with me Jazzmin McKay. She is the Vice President of Community Engagement with the Arthritis Foundation. Welcome, Jazzmin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you can come today. I know that you and I have been talking quite a bit back and forth via phone and emailing, so it's a pleasure to get to meet you face to face and for you to come on the show.
I'm very excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I have a lot of questions, and I'm sure the viewer does, about arthritis, fibromyalgia, as well as gout.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get started.
Okay. So I always like to start off with, I'm not a healthcare professional. However, we do have information and resources, and we can definitely connect you with a healthcare professional if you have some very specific questions about arthritis. But arthritis literally means inflammation of the joint. However, that can be a little bit confusing because there are over 100 different forms of arthritis.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and so it's an umbrella term, and not all of those forms include joint inflammation. So for instance, there's osteoarthritis. That's not joint inflammation, that's more wear and tear.
Okay.
But under that umbrella of 100, you've got osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, gangliospondylitis, fibromyalgia, bursitis, tendonitis, a laundry list. And a lot of people don't realize that there are over 100 different forms that can be included under that. Now, with that being said, there are 53 million individuals that are a part of this special arthritis club. They may not want to be, but they're a part of that club. And if we don't do anything about it, that number is going to continue to grow. So, as I mentioned, we are an umbrella organization, and we work closely with all individuals that are affected by arthritis. And by doing that, that means that we have to be supportive of all the different types of arthritis. Our research is supportive of all of those different types of arthritis, as well as our resources that we provide are fit under that. But I'll talk a little bit about fibromyalgia, as well as, if you like, maybe kind of a blurb about osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis for individuals.
That would definitely help, because I know what's confusing for me, Jazzmin, as well as a lot of other people, is that, like you just mentioned, is what, over 100 different forms, different types of arthritis. That's a lot.
It is.
And most people, typically, when you mention arthritis, they'll mention perhaps rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, but that's it after that. And it's just, this is just mind-boggling to me, because it's not enough awareness, in my opinion, about these different forms of arthritis and what people need to know to live healthy and how to take care of themselves.
Definitely. So you typically hear about osteoarthritis because out of the 53 million, over 20 million of them have osteoarthritis. So that's the largest group. So that's why you hear osteoarthritis. And it affects the baby boomers, because it's that wear and tear.
Yes.
It's that you've been using that joint in your workplace for over 20 years, and now that joint doesn't want to work anymore. Or you've been an athlete, and 15 years later you're having pain, or 30 years later you're having pain. So that's why osteoarthritis is a very big push. And with osteoarthritis, there's some preventative measures you can take for it. Preventative in the sense of you can't control heredity, but you can control your weight. You can control weight, you can control your nutrition.
True.
And so by losing weight, you can reduce the burden on your joints, which can help with your osteoarthritis pain. So there are several individuals that are walking around with osteoarthritis that are feeling fine. They may have it, but they're in remission, they're feeling good.
Okay.
So you typically hear about OA, as it's called, because it's the bulk and it's the big one. And then with rheumatoid arthritis, it's a devastating autoimmune disease, and it primarily affects women. So it's a pressing concern, and it doesn't affect as many as osteoarthritis. It's a much smaller number, but because of the devastating effects of it, it causes a lot of pain and a lot of issues in women as well as children, because typically when children have arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis is the type that they have. So with rheumatoid arthritis, you have that true joint inflammation where it's in your major joints. It's on both sides of your body. You know, you may wake up in the morning and you feel bad, and even if you get moving around, you still feel bad.
True.
So it's one of those things that, you know, we really focus a lot on, and you hear a lot about that one.
A question for you. Sorry to interrupt, but when you mentioned about the debilitating effects of it, that sounds very, very serious. And can you share a little bit in terms of what some of them are? And the reason why I'm asking is I have fibromyalgia and RA. And I know that for fibromyalgia patients, many of them have the overlapping condition of RA, you know, and that inflammation, and from everything that I've read, is nothing to play around with. That can be very dangerous if you don't get it in check.
Yes, it can be dangerous not only for your joints, but with the comorbidities that you share. So if you've got inflammation in your joints, you could also have inflammation in other parts of your body, including your heart and your brain. So that increases your risk for maybe heart disease and stroke. And so that's why you want to make sure you're always talking to your healthcare professional. They do have some research studies that are showing that there is a link between individuals who have rheumatoid arthritis and an increased risk of heart disease. So it's very, very important to have an understanding and make sure you are monitoring and managing your disease. As you mentioned, individuals who have other rheumatic diseases, such as rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, have an increased risk for fibromyalgia.
Wow.
And currently, we don't know why. Researchers they don't know what the direct link is, but there is a link. And ironically, rheumatoid arthritis and lupus primarily affect women, and so does fibromyalgia.
You're right. I knew that about fibro, because from what I've read, I think they say maybe 97% more women versus men.
Yes. And I believe for rheumatoid arthritis, it's about 4 times more likely in women than men. So it's a substantially larger risk for women with rheumatoid arthritis. And individuals who have rheumatoid arthritis are at a 20 to 30% more likely to have fibromyalgia. Like 20 to 30% of the individuals who have rheumatoid arthritis also have fibromyalgia.
Now, with rheumatoid arthritis, about 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with uveitis, which is inflammation of the retina. And they thought at that time that I may have RA. But all the lab tests came back where it didn't show the Rh factor or anything of that nature. Well, when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, then the first thing they said is, okay, that explains, you know, your uveitis. Because with the uveitis, you can go blind if you don't get that control because of the inflammation.
Definitely. And with the uveitis, that's a huge problem with children, because a lot of the children that have rheumatoid arthritis can develop uveitis. So their goal is to always constantly, again, managing your disease. You go to the eye doctor. You want to make sure that in your disease management, you may not necessarily have one healthcare professional you're seeing. You may be able to handle your disease by just going to your primary care physician. You may need a specialist or ophthalmologist. You may need a rheumatologist. You may need a physical therapist. You may need a whole team.
That's
it
true.
really does depend on the severity of your disease, but be open to all of those options, because the most important thing at the end of the day is managing that. You mentioned inflammation of the eye.
Yes.
So if your joints can get inflamed, so can your other organs.
That's true. That's a very, very good point.
That's why, as an autoimmune disease with rheumatoid arthritis, it's very serious.
And that's something I think people don't take the necessary time to educate themselves about RA, fibro, or whatever the rheumatic condition that they may have.
Definitely. It's one of those things where it's a misnomer. When I tell people that I work for the Arthritis Foundation, they're like, oh, didn't know there was a foundation for that. Or I ask, well, what type of arthritis do you have? What do you mean? It's only one kind.
Oh, wow.
No. So as a foundation, that's a huge push for us, that awareness piece, because you have 53 million individuals that are walking around with this.
Yes.
And that are affected by this. That's more than several other chronic diseases that get a lot more attention. Not taking away from them, but you need to understand that we do share comorbidities. People who have osteoarthritis also have diabetes.
Yes.
And if they can't work out because of their osteoarthritis, then that may be inhibiting them from managing treatment for their diabetes. So it's important for them to manage their osteoarthritis so that they can be physically active and manage their diabetes.
Wow. I'm also a patient navigator, and one thing I always tell patients that I encounter is to take an active role in their health care. Don't be passive, so when they present to their doctor, their health care team, ask questions.
Definitely.
Make a list of questions to ask. Be prepared.
And if you don't know what that list is, we have some sample questions for you.
Yes, and
So-
also have a list of all your medications. And so what I do is I keep in my purse a little journal of all my meds and the doctors that I see, because sometimes you forget.
Definitely.
And so it's important for me, that, especially if I'm seeing a new specialist, that they know these are the meds that I'm currently taking. That way, I don't want them to prescribe something that may Yes.
Contraindicate
Yes.
having issues, definitely. That's very, very important. You are your own advocate. You are the first person that's going to advocate for your health, your well-being, and your rights. And if you don't take charge, then who else is?
No one, and I'm glad you stated that, because a lot of people feel that, well, it's whatever my doctor says. No, it takes a joint effort, or in most cases, a complete team. So you must ask questions. It's your health. You
Yes.
have to take interest in it.
You do.
And if you don't understand something, ask. You know, it amazes me the number of people I've met that go to the doctor, and you'll say, well, what did the doctor say? Everything's okay. Well, what does that mean? I
Did you
didn't
ask any questions?
No. Doctor says, see me in 6 weeks. Okay, what else? I didn't ask anything. I mean, really?
Yeah.
How can you not ask?
Because you may be, that day, you may be feeling fine.
True.
You may have forgotten about a week ago you were miserable.
Yes.
And what might have triggered that. So you're just going with the happy day that you have and completely forgetting about all the trouble you might have had a week ago.
Yes. And unfortunately, sometimes that trouble that you had a week ago is going to be knocking at your door
Yes,
and
definitely.
beat you home.
One of the things that we really pushed in the past is making sure you utilize energy conservation. Like, you have to make sure you're conserving your energy, especially if you have fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
Because you do have those flare-up days. You have those days where you feel miserable. And then you have those, what I like to call happy days.
Yes.
And on those happy days, you try to do 95 things because it's a happy day. And then after you do all 95 things, you crash. And
Big
then
time.
you're out for 4 or 5 days.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that even if you have a bad day, you do a little bit, but you want to spread it out so that you're not doing everything all in one day. I always give the example, you don't grocery shop the same day that you plan to go to the mall and do your physical activity.
True.
That's just too much.
Yes.
Because if you do that, then you'll be down longer than if you would have spread it out. So
That's
that's very
true.
important.
Now, one thing I'm curious about in terms of demographics, for example, African American women, are they in a huge numbers when it comes down to fibromyalgia as well as RA?
I don't have the specific stats on that. I know they're at a much higher risk for lupus.
Okay.
But the research has shown that, but I'm not really sure. But I can definitely get back to you with some more stats about that.
Okay.
A great place to find information about specific stats is CDC, Centers
Okay.
for Disease Control. They have the most up-to-date information and research, and as well as any prevalence and data that you would need.
Now, regardless of whom it hits, ethnicity, that doesn't matter, that I realize. But what I'm most concerned about, though, is you don't hear much about what is being done. Now, I know a lot about what the Arthritis Foundation is doing, but I just feel that it just doesn't get enough exposure to really highlight. They're doing some great work, and arthritis education is needed, because I have a friend who has a daughter who has juvenile arthritis, and it's very painful and very debilitating.
It is. And for a child, it's amazing.
Yes.
Like the medications, you know that they're going to have to deal with this for the rest of their life. It may go into a remission, but it's always there.
Yes, that's true. And then even for adults, I mean, when you're in pain, chronic pain, most people, until they've walked in that person's shoes, don't know what that is like, to have chronic pain. Some people will say, well, you look fine. Well, you don't know what's behind that smile.
Exactly. Definitely. I think one of the advances we just recently had was when we had the movie Cake. I'm not sure if you saw it, with Jennifer
No.
Aniston. And she portrayed a woman who was in chronic pain. And after filming that movie, she was just like, I was just amazed. So many people don't have a true understanding of what it's like to live with chronic pain. You think acute pain is bad, but just imagine that every single day you wake up and nothing you can do in some cases will make it go away.
True.
So yeah, she just did a movie. It was, I'm not sure if it was in all of the theaters, but it was a great example of a woman who had a car accident, and after the car accident developed some conditions and was in chronic pain. And she was an artist, and it was just devastating to her to
Wow.
figure out how to continue to live her life.
And what was the name of that movie again?
Cake.
I'm going to have to look that up to view that.
It just came out in January.
Okay. Now, other question for you. With the chronic pain, what happens to me sometime, as well as other people who have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, is the memory issues.
Yeah, so part of fibromyalgia, and I was just recently, before I came here, trying to look on our website to see what resources we had. They call it the fibromyalgia fog, which I didn't know that was a term for.
Yes.
So, with fibromyalgia, it's considered a condition where memory loss, mood changes is a huge part of it. And even though the cause is unknown, most researchers and doctors speculate that there's an issue with the central nervous system, and there's an amplification of nerve pain.
Yes.
So it's where it's set on high, and it shouldn't be set on high. So anything can cause you to have more intense reactions to everything. So what may not cause pain in an individual who is fine, considered fine, would cause pain in someone who has fibromyalgia.
Sure.
So I would think that that would have something to, especially if we're having issues with your central nervous system, that would have issues to do with the memory loss. I do know there's some more information on our website with specific research that has been done, or any other resources to go along with that.
Okay. Now, the research that I've conducted states that with fibromyalgia, that some of the causes could be attributed to, one, trauma or some type of stress. And I think about that because I had been under a lot of stress and trauma, because I also had had surgery. And I think that was like the beginning of the perfect storm.
Definitely. From what I've looked on our website and other resources, stress and even weight have some correlations to fibromyalgia, weight management.
Now, what are some of the things that people can do with fibromyalgia diet-wise, and for those people with rheumatoid arthritis as well?
With arthritis in general, just like any other condition, nutrition is extremely important. Always managing and trying to have a healthy diet across the board. So, fried foods aren't necessarily good for you. We all know that.
Yeah.
But that helps with heart disease, that helps with diabetes, that helps with arthritis. One of the things that some researchers have been able to find, and some nutritionists have found, that there are definitely spices that do help. You've got your turmeric, your ginger, that are key things. But then they have what's called the Anti-Inflammatory Diet. And
Yes.
depending on the nutritionist you talk to, they are good for it, and then other nutritionists don't really support it. So one of the things with the anti-inflammatory diet is really focusing on really great colorful vegetables, colorful fruits, kind of staying away from a lot of the processed foods. Those are
Yes.
things that you want to stay away from. So basically the same basic dietary things that you hear about for heart disease and diabetes.
Okay.
All of that translates over to arthritis as well. Now, the one that has a lot more dietary restrictions is gout. Gout has definitely a list where they've notified or noticed that these specific things cause constant inflammation in multiple individuals. A lot of people have trigger foods.
Yes.
And your trigger food may be different from my trigger food. So that's why there's not a specific arthritis diet.
Okay.
Versus with gout, they notice that this trigger happens in a lot of people. So you want to maintain a healthy diet. We do have on our website some online educational webinars where we had certified dietitians present about an anti-inflammatory diet, and they walk through the food chart, and they walk through here the suggestions and things you should eat. Focuses on eating beans, focus on these spices, reducing salt, the usual.
Okay. I also read that curcumin is supposed to be good for anti-inflammatory, to add some of that to the diet. I'm going to try that.
Okay.
And would you recommend that people keep, for example, a food journal to know what are their triggers, what are their flares?
Definitely. We have one resource, and you don't have to use ours. It's called Track and React. And what it does is it allows you to input your sleeping habits, your medication, your food, your physical activity, all in this app. And so you can see, what is it that I took or ate or didn't get enough sleep caused me to feel this way this day. And you can track it over an extended period of time, print out a pretty little graph, It's kind of like a journal, and you can even use a health journal, but it is definitely a recommendation because if you're feeling bad, you got to figure out why you're feeling bad.
That's true.
People who have headaches, the first thing your doctor's going to ask you, well, how frequently do you have headaches? Do you
True.
notice that you have headaches after you eat this? Do you notice if you have headaches after you eat that? Again, you being your own advocate, you have to determine and take it to your doctor. Your doctor is a great resource, but he's a scientist in effect. He likes to solve the puzzle. You got to bring him the puzzle pieces in order for him to solve the puzzle. So you need to make sure that you're kind of trying to track that information. And it's hard to do.
Yes.
I will definitely say that it is very hard to do. It's very time consuming, but it's your health. It's worth it.
It's called Track and React.
Yes, track and react.
Okay, I'm going to definitely check that out for myself, and I'm going to recommend that to several other people in one of my groups, one of my support groups.
It's an easy app if you really like apps, or you can go online and do it. I started tracking it for myself because you can use it even if you don't have arthritis. And
Okay.
knock on wood, I do not have arthritis right now. You can use it, and it just lets you know, like yesterday, I only got 5 hours worth of sleep. I felt horrible,
Yeah.
and this is probably why. Or I ate something that wasn't the healthiest option, and I had no energy. Well, that's probably why. There's some linkages. And when you go to the doctor, I'm able to kind of print this graph out. He may not have time to go over everything, but I can tell him some of the things that I noticed that stood out.
Now, can that also be used on the iPad?
Yes, there's an actual app for it, so you can use it on your iPad, your iPhone, all of that.
Okay, as well as the Android? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great, because a lot of times when I'm in a lot of pain, it works best for me just to have my iPad right there in my lap.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I can't wait to try that out.
Yeah, it's a really great tool. You just have to be diligent enough to use it.
Okay, now, Arthritis Foundation, do you all have cookbooks?
We don't have our own set cookbooks. We do have some on our website where you could probably purchase,
Okay,
but we haven't dove into the realm of creating our own cookbook. We've done a lot in the physical activity realm where we have exercise programs. We have a wonderful yoga DVD because we feel
Okay.
that physical activity is a huge component of arthritis management.
true. Oh, well, that is really good to know. As far as the yoga, I've tried that, the low impact kind, because
Yes.
the regular kind, I can't handle that.
Okay. So with all of that, any activity, physical activity we promote, and we're right now working on creating guidelines so that if you have arthritis and you want to go to a class, here's some things that you should look for in a class. And low impact exercises are number one.
Okay.
Increase exercises that focus on increasing range of motion. That's extremely important. Strengthening exercise is extremely important. That's why Tai Chi and, low-based
Yes.
yoga are perfect exercises. Now, some people can do Zumba. Some people can start to get into that. Others, maybe not.
True.
So it's low impact, increased range of motion, strengthening exercises, because you want your joints to continue to move, and you need your joints to be strong and your muscles to be strong to protect those joints.
That's true. And since I have both fibro and RA, one of the things that my doctors have always told me is to try to work through the pain. That's easier said
It
than
is.
done.
I understand that, but I agree with them. I understand on a flare-up day, you may not want to move a muscle,
Yeah.
but it's important to try to move it at least once, twice. If you typically do 8 reps, try to just do 1 or 2. If you can
Okay.
get 1 done, that's great. Not doing that 1 does make a difference. It really, I know you may not believe me, it really, really does make the difference.
No, I believe you.
It's extremely important. And I will say one of the things that we've noticed over the years, the organization has definitely been involved with physical activity for over 25 years. With exercise, if you can't do something on land because you feel that you're limited, get in the water.
Okay.
You'd be amazed what the buoyancy of the water is able to do for you and how you could really move and get moving in the water versus get moving on land. So if you are in a flare-up state where you can't get moving, try a warm water exercise class.
Okay,
That,
I'll do that.
it will do wonders.
I know moving is good, but it's just that some days it's
I
just,
understand.
oh my goodness.
But you at least need to do a stretch.
Yes.
a basic stretch, at least a basic stretch to get you started.
Are you familiar with the spoon therapy for fibromyalgia?
No.
With the spoons. So, for example, if I go to the doctor's office, the amount of energy that I'm exerting, that may take 2 spoons, okay? If I have to move around in my house, that may take 1.5 spoons. But the bottom line is, once I get to 7 spoons, I am done for the day, because I can't do anything else
And that's
for the rest of the day.
energy
Yes.
conservation, again,
Yes.
making sure that if you've got that doctor visit, then that's the day that may be the only outside activity I have. Especially if you're working a job like that, it's very hard to do on top of that. So
True.
you have to really learn to pace yourself. And it may be hard, especially if you are used to being an Energizer bunny, to step back,
Yeah.
but it's very important.
Oh, I know, but still, that's a work in progress.
It is about all of it's a work in progress. All of it's a work in progress.
Now, in my rheumatologist office, I have seen a lot of your magazines, which Arthritis Today, which is very, very helpful. You know, I love reading the articles. It talks about exercises. It gives you a lot of good pointers on how to take care of yourself.
Definitely. So, as an organization, our mission is to change lives, and we do this for what we call 4 pillars: our scientific and discovery, advocacy, help and support, and community connections. What you just mentioned was our help and support initiatives, and part of that includes our Arthritis Today magazine. It is a wonderful magazine.
Yes, it
it's
is.
a small membership fee and you can get the magazine. It comes out not every month, but almost every other month. And it just has resources upon resources for you as an individual with arthritis. And it's definitely a great connection point if you want to get articles on exercise, assistive devices, food. There have been different magazine articles where we've had several celebrities talk about how they're dealing with arthritis. So it's a great resource. In addition to that, we have numerous brochures, we have online talk shows, webinars, we have what will be displaying and the end of June, and I'm very excited about. It's called the Community Finder.
Oh, what is that?
You'll be able to type in your zip code and find either your local rheumatologist, orthopedic surgeon, physical therapist, physical activity class, all local resources, and it'll be sorted by zip code to give you whatever it is that you need. And it'll be a really great tool for us.
Okay, and so a lot of these resources, it's not just based in Chicago, it's based all over?
So we are a national organization. So we are one foundation. So what you can get here, you can get pretty much anywhere. We're physically located in downtown Chicago, but we cover the entire state of Illinois. And so we're out and about, and we're pretty much everywhere. And so these resources are available to you wherever you are. That's why we started to do the online shows and the webinars.
Yes, very helpful.
Because we do educational in-person seminars, but it's hard to get them everywhere. So
True.
one of the ways to kind of spread the message is to get out, do talk shows like this, as well as get experts to do webinars for us that we can present to the community.
Wow, you all are doing a lot.
Yeah, and in addition to the Community Finder, one other cool tool that I'm super excited about is the Adult Welcome Kit. So you mentioned that going to the doctor, getting information. One of the things that you can go to your doctor's office for and request is going to be this Adult Welcome Kit that comes out at the end of June.
Oh.
And it'll be kind of like what we've done in the past for our children with arthritis. An introductory kit. Here's some basic information about arthritis. Here's some basic resources just to let you know that we have all these tools. You're not out here alone. Here's some great ways to, if you're feeling down, advocate for yourself. Here's some other potential connections in the community. It's just an introductory kit to let you know that we're here for you and that there is information. So you have done a great job doing research on your own.
Thank you.
But we can also help out.
True.
And so with the individual who may not want to do the research or have the time to do the research, we're letting them know that here's an intro, welcome to our special 53 Million Club. Here's what we can do to help you out.
That's good to know because for a lot of people, depression is one thing that they deal with. And that is a huge problem for many people.
Yeah, we consider it part of the chronic pain cycle. So you'll start with pain,
Okay.
which goes to limitation of joints or limitation of activities, which then goes to either let's say your left leg is hurting, you stop using your left leg, you're now putting more use on your right leg, then your right leg hurts, so now you're out of commission completely. Then you get sad.
Yes.
You don't do activities, you don't go out, you get depressed, and then you get more pain. And then it's a constant cycle that keeps on going on. And it's definitely an issue, which is why we say to go be physically active, because that'll give you a chance to do some socialization as well as help you with your arthritis.
That's true.
But it's a hard hit. Depression is definitely an easy way for people to fall into that realm because it's hard. You're used to being this certain person and feeling this certain way, and when you don't feel well, when you physically don't feel well, you kind of makes you sad, and it gets very
Yes.
frustrating. And if you go to doctors, and sometimes people feel that, that one doctor is going to be the answer, please don't feel that way. Sometimes you may have to go to 4 or 5 doctors before you find the one that works. And that can be
True.
very hard, and that can be depressing, and that can be frustrating. So it's an issue that occurs with all different forms of arthritis.
I agree, because the one thing about depression is that if you are accustomed to being active, okay, doing things and being an Energizer bunny, and knowing that you can't do that anymore,
Huge hit.
your family can have birthday parties, dinners, holidays, whatever it may be. You can't do all the things that you used to do anymore, or you can do them in moderation, maybe not as frequent. And a lot of times people don't understand that, and then patients feel the need to have to explain everything.
Yes, that definitely happens with lupus, because lupus, it hits you and knocks you down. It's very, and rheumatoid arthritis, it's very hard. And one of the things we do work on, and another part of our pillar is the community and connections. So getting individuals out to connect with one another. We do that through our Walk to Cure Arthritis and our Jingle Bell Run and Walk. And getting individuals who have arthritis, caregivers together to rally together and raise funds to find research to find a cure for arthritis. Because you have these individuals who feel like, sometimes I'm alone. No, you're definitely not alone. There are other individuals who are going through the same thing you're going through. You need to feel that you have a support group and you have a support network. And by coming out to these individual events, that's a way to identify with others who are going through what you're going through.
That's
and
true.
a way to rally behind somebody rallying behind you, congratulating you, like, great, thanks for being out here. I understand what you're going through. Oh, I felt that way yesterday, but I feel
Yeah.
great today. And it's just one small step for you to feel some type of empowerment to take over what's happening to you.
That's true. It's nice to have that connection, because on Facebook, I've joined quite a number of groups for fibromyalgia as well as rheumatoid arthritis. And it's nice to have that level of support, because when you're feeling down, they can help pick you up. When somebody else is feeling down, you can lift them up.
Yeah.
And everyone understands.
Definitely.
Yes.
It's really nice. We are out there typically there Saturday mornings. Our next one, or actually our first one of the year, is Lake County. Here's our plug.
Okay.
April. It's on Saturday, April 25th. It's at 9 a.m. Great way, come out. We are at the Forest Preserve. And it's the time where you get to see a large group of people really excited about arthritis. Don't see that a lot. But it's a great time to see a large group of people super excited. We also have one in Chicago, and then we're
Okay.
in the south suburbs as well. And we have all those details on our website. But again, it's a time to rally behind other individuals who have arthritis. You have the opportunities, you have resources to connect, to meet individuals. For us, it's a huge piece, especially for the juvenile arthritis realm.
Okay.
In the state of Illinois, there are 13,000 kids, over 13,000, who have juvenile arthritis. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And a lot of
Yes.
them don't know. They may be in a neighborhood where there's no one else who's dealing with what they're dealing with, and it's hard for them to connect with others. And so we use that opportunity to have meet and greets with other families and connect with each other.
Now, in Lake County, is this going to be Independence Grove or which Forest Preserve?
Yes, Independence Grove is
Okay.
typically where it is. All the details are, again, on our website.
That is good to know. And that is
It's-
something that we all really need to support.
It is. It's something that we've done for several years, and we've done a really good job here in Lake County, and we have fun. It really is about partnerships and having fun. We partner with Advocate Condell. We partner with some of the local schools to come
Okay.
out. So it's definitely a community event.
Now, I know with Arthritis Foundation, you have the e-advocates as well as the arthritis ambassadors.
Yeah, so advocacy is another pillar of ours. We have our main priorities are focusing on affordability of medications,
Yes.
adequate insurance coverage and medication coverage for patients, as well as patient safety and patient-doctor relationships. Those are our 3 main focus areas on the state and federal areas. And one great way, if you only have 5 minutes but you want to do something impactful, is to become an advocate.
Yes.
As an advocate, you sign up electronically, you receive emails, and all you have to do is either forward the email over to your legislative individual in your area, or you can go and hand deliver it or write it or print it out and send it, whatever you want. But it's a great impactful way to really support the foundation and support individuals with arthritis. Over the last several years, we've had a lot of successful wins because of our advocates. They have done some very, very good things. Recently, They fought against Medicare, and they fought against, I'm trying a blank on the name of the company, but it was a pharmaceutical company, and they wanted to, Express Scripts, it wasn't pharmaceutical.
Okay.
It was Express Scripts, where they wanted to fight against and limit the tiering of medications. And
not
so we
good.
won. They decided that they weren't going to do it because we got up, we advocated for it, and we fought and we won against Express Scripts. Medicare changed some verbiage in their plans to do tier drugs because of our fight. So being an advocate is a quick, easy way to take control of the disease and not let the disease take control of you, or help out someone who has the disease. It takes less than 1 minute to sign up online. You don't get inundated by emails. You get a few emails every here and now to push issues. We have several bills that we're working on in partnership. Patient access to care is huge for us.
Can you tell us about that?
So patient access issues are very important. One of the big things that we're getting ready to fight up against is, again, the tier drug issues, where making medication a lot more expensive and making it harder for individuals to get. So increasing co-pays or putting it
Yes.
in like tier 3. So tier 3 is going to cost you, giving a huge number, $1 million
Yes.
versus when it should have cost you 200.
True.
It's that type of issue. And so we want to make sure that that's not happening. And then with the biosimilar bill, which is going to be coming out, because you now have biosimilars, where individuals who have been on biologics, their doctor may switch them over to another biologic because
Sure.
it may be cheaper because it's the generic. And with biologics, you have to be very, very careful.
Oh, yes.
Because not all biologics work on everybody. So if you've got something that's working, that's gold, you don't want to let it go.
That's true.
And you don't want your doctor telling you, or a pharmacy company, or your insurance telling you that you have to change.
That's true. And I use one of the biologics, and I know exactly what you mean, because if you find something that works